everyone, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice. Happy Friday, and today I am going to be using the Muhui watercolor pencil set that I have been testing, 72 pencils, and it is the set that we did the perfume bottle, love, sweet dreams, Valentine slimline card with. I'm going to be using a couple of those pencils. I am painting on New York Central 100% cotton, 140-pound cold pressed acid free paper. This is a 5x7 block. I actually really like this paper, and I'm going to get to a review on it sooner than later. So I am doing the image of a rose today. I decided that I wanted to design another journal, and I wanted to paint the image that would be going on the front of that journal. And I'm deciding to do that with you guys, hoping that maybe something I do in this video will give you some tips or tricks on how to do a rose using watercolor pencils if you so chose to do it. Keep in mind that the brand of pencils or paper that you use really isn't important. What's more important is that you are painting, illustrating, practicing, continuing to put in those work hours in order to grow and progress. That is always the goal. I decided that in 2024, as I've told you guys in other videos, I'm going to make a valiant effort to challenge myself. I have not been doing many flower paintings or illustrations over the last few months, and I feel like I've fallen out of practice. So I really wanted to do this rose, and it's going to go really well with the design of the journal that I'm planning now. This is really part one to a project that I'm working on. So I decided to do the painting today, and I'm actually going to be constructing the journal itself in the video that comes out this Sunday. So if you're interested in seeing this particular illustration being turned into a journal, do join in this upcoming Sunday. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, hit that notification bell so you won't miss the notification of the video coming out. And I'm really hoping you guys join me. So catching up with what I've been doing in this particular painting, I'm using 3 different colors. I pulled 4, but I really only used 3, and I'm using a really golden tone yellow, so a sun leaning yellow, an orange, and it's sort of a neutral orange, and then I'm also using more of a vermilion color. It's a really orangey red. The yellow I used to base in the entire rose, all of the petals, and I was really careful, being sure to leave my highlights in using the white of the paper. I really wanted to show how to use the pencils and not necessarily turn this into some type of mixed media project, but just use the pencil. So I'm being sure to leave the highlights out using the white of the paper. I went in with the darker orange in order to start putting in some of the midtones and separating the petals from each other. That way it wouldn't seem like we just had one big yellow mass blob. And it did help to add some division to the petals, and to bring the rose to life a little more. Afterwards, I grabbed a brush and I'm going through to dissolve the pigment. Now, I've been working with these pencils here and there, and for the most part, the pigment seems to dissolve pretty well in water, of course. I do always suggest a golden tack line, some type of synthetic hard bristle brush in order to kind of help dissolve and push those pigments around. And a lot of times with your more budget grade watercolor pencils, you'll find that you have to put a little bit more elbow grease into getting those pigments to dissolve versus using a more professional grade pencil like, say, a Derwent or a Caran d'Ache or a Faber-Castell Albert Drawer. I always have issues pronouncing that. And I was kind of expecting that with these pencils, but I'll be honest, I've been kind of pleasantly surprised at the fact that they don't give me as much trouble dissolving as I thought they would. I did notice a difference between working cellulose versus cotton paper using them, but that's to be expected with any product. And I'm going to get more into that when I do get to the review for these pencils, which are coming up possibly next week, because I do want to move on and work with those Derwent Inktense blocks a little more as well. So as you can see, I've really been just using this little synthetic brush. This is a number 4 round. This is a Creative Expressions brush by Creative Mark, another Jerry's Autorama product. And I have a paper towel here. So what I'm doing is I'm dipping my brush into water, clean water, and then I'm blotting it off on the paper towel. Working with watercolor pencils, you want to kind of keep your water ratio under control. You don't want to use too much water, because with a lot of them, excess water will actually wash the pigment away versus dispersing it or blending it out into the tooth of the paper. So I always keep a paper towel handy so that I can always blot off excess water and have the bristles just damp enough to move that pigment around. So I'm going through and I'm blending it out, trying to make sure that I give some definition and volume to the rose. And once I finished it, I did take a wet brush and kind of blend all over the rose. What I wanted to do was to make sure that I didn't have any loose pencil pigment that had not been dissolved in water. I gave that time to dry. I actually used a blow dryer. You do want to allow watercolor pencils to dry completely in between layers if you decide to layer them. This is going to help with washing away the pigment, as I was mentioning earlier. At this particular point, I grabbed my vermilion orange looking color, or your more orangey red color, and I went in to start to add those deepest, darkest shadows, the deepest definition into the rose, to help really bring it to life, push it off of the paper, really separate the rose so that you can start to see its personality come forth. And I'm just hitting and missing here. The darkest color, I really didn't want to use too much of it. I want to add just enough to give the petals definition. I'm going to blend it out in certain areas. Now, the thing about watercolor pencils, which you've probably heard me say before, they're such a versatile medium. And in this one, in this illustration, I use them both in wet and dry form. So some of the darkest pigment that I'm adding to the rose at this point, I'm going to actually blend out. Some of it I want. And that's one of the advantages. I mean, it's a drawing medium and a painting medium that you can just use in so many different ways. I mean, I will never stop saying positive things about them. I know that there are a lot of people who do not like watercolor pencils, and to each his own, but I happen to love them. And I always encourage people, if you haven't used them, try them. If you haven't tried them and you didn't like them, try them in a different way. Eventually, I'm pretty sure you're going to find a way to use them. They're just super versatile in that aspect. So at this point, I'm blending out the darkest orange. What I wanted to do was to make sure that I didn't put too much orange pigment down. I did not want it to overtake the actual rose. Now I'm just gonna go in and do some final touches just to bring it to life and make sure that everything is where I want it to be. And that's gonna bring the video, the illustration to a wrap, because at this point, the next step would be me actually constructing the journal, which again, I hope you guys join me for on Sunday. Hopefully you picked up something in this video that you saw, you heard, that you liked, that could be helpful in your painting journey. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Please share the video, because sharing is caring. Hit up the comments section. Let me know what you think. Go ahead, subscribe, hit that notification bell, check the video description for all relevant links. And remember, as I always tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.